Thanks, Stephen.
You're welcome.
So the next dish we're going to try is the pork belly. And the guys at Char Char Bull are telling me that the Little Creatures Pilsner is going to be a good match with it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out.
Okay, so we've got the Little Creatures original Pilsner. Pilsner is one of the oldest lager varieties, and lager is the generic beer that we used to all drink in the pubs on tap. It's the mainstream beer of the masses. This one though is kept to the more traditional recipes, the German purity laws, and it is a much cleaner, crisper taste, and they use the all grain, unlike a lot of the mass-produced ones where they're using adjuncts and things like that. This is just the pure ingredients, the malts, the water, the hops and the yeast. But that nice crisp finish that you do get with your Pilsners, that's going to probably complement that pork belly. Just spot on. Just
fantastic.
Perfectly, I think.
Can't wait to see if it does work.
Exactly.
Here we are, a slow roasted pork belly.
Very nice. Oh,
Pumpkin puree, vanilla roasted shallots, and an apple cider cream sauce.
So look, one of the things that I've always said to people is there's a few different ways of tasting your food if you're going to match it with a different type of beverage, whether it be beer or wine. Taste the food first, then you want to taste the food and taste the beer, then you want to have them together, and then you want to do everything in reverse. It's a great way of experiencing a dish more than one way. You can experience a dish 4 or 5 different ways by doing that and using different things that are on the plate as well. So we haven't got very much to play with here today. So,
that's nice, that is.
So we'll just go and get a little bit of a taste. See what we've got with the sauce. Looks like a bit of a caramel flavour. So it's not too sweet.
You'll be pleased to know that the Pilsner works perfectly with that one.
Yeah, the Pilsner's coming across really subtly, which basically makes the pork the king, which is perfect for this type of dish. Because pork in Western Australia is just fantastic these days. It's one of the very few dishes that you can go to just about any restaurant and be guaranteed a fantastic meal.
That crisp finish on a Pilsner keeps the palate nice and clean and alive, so you can start tasting a lot of those flavours in between mouthfuls.
I think you're spot on in that.
Yeah,
This is a palate cleanser.
It just works, doesn't it? Yeah,
it works with the beer. It doesn't do a lot with it,
but it just refreshes everything. Cuts out, pork and the pork belly particularly, and the crackling there. It's got that higher fat content, and the Pilsner just cuts that and just cleans your palate. And away you go again, ready for the next delicious mouthful.
Look, some beers are going to actually change the flavour of the dish, and other beers are just going to work well with it. This particular dish and the beer just work well together. It's a palate cleansing beer, in my view.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's two problems that I have in my line of work. Sometimes we get too much to eat, and sometimes we get too little. And sadly, we had to share this with the camera crew, mate.
Exactly, I know they're hungry mob, aren't they?
Pretty unfair.
Nah, but that was absolutely fantastic, Scott. I really enjoyed that pork belly.
I really like the fact that it wasn't too sweet as well.
It was good.
A lot of times with your caramel sauces and your apple sauces, they really, really pump it with too much sugar.
Okay.
And that was really nicely balanced for me.
Absolutely.
But you know what? If it was too sweet, beer would have been a great match.
Yeah, absolutely. That works really well. Yeah, it worked really well. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Fremantle's famous for a lot of things. The Great Bond, Scott, one of the busiest ports in the country, the fishing and the seafood, and also the birth of the craft industry in WA. And here we are at the Sail and Anchor Hotel. This is where the craft brewing industry in WA started. These humble tanks, the grist case, the mash mixer, the fermenters, the mash tuns. This is where the redbacks and the dog bolters started. This is what started to put WA on the map for craft brewing. So where do you go for your craft brews in WA? Well, it's getting easier by the minute. When this place started up in the 80s, this was really the only place you could actually buy it, apart from the stubbies of Redback. And Redback was the first wheat beer that really got people interested in something other than the generic lagers that are served on tap. So looking for your craft beers in WA, come on down to a specialist pub like the Sail and Anchor. There are many more around Perth. But if you really want to get a taste of the original Freo craft scene, come on down. So for those of you who are yet to jump into the craft beer tastes and flavours and styles, come on down to pubs that specialise in their craft beers. Sail and Anchor have a range of, for want of a better word, introductory craft beers, and they have knowledgeable staff that will help you get into tasting these wonderful beers. Fantastic.
This is brilliant.
The good old nail ale.
That's right, one of the ambassadors of the industry.
Absolutely.
Yep. So John's been, probably at the forefront of what's happening with craft brewing here in Western Australia, and definitely pushing his beers into your cafes and restaurants. It's a fantastic drop, this one, and he's got a few that are on the go. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this. I think we're having it with the ribeye.
Oh, fantastic. One of my favourites. I like the good old ribeye. The good old pale ales. Now, a lot of people don't realise that when WA in particular, and if not Australia, was first settled, most of the beers were either Indian pale ales or pale ales because they were a stronger beer and they lasted a lot longer.
Yep.
And the yeasts that they used, they're actually able to use them in our climate. You got to remember, this is before the days of refrigeration and lager yeasts and things like that, and it wasn't until a long time that the lagers came into it. So the good old Australian pale ale, this is what basically the first settlers of Perth and even Fremantle were drinking at the time. A little bit higher in the hop character, but again it's this beautiful amber colour, so there's a little bit of maltiness there and a little bit of extra hop. So it should balance the ribeye out quite nicely. I know when I have ribeyes in restaurants, I'll usually look for a pale ale on the menu there.
Here we have Black Angus ribeye on the bone.
Fantastic.
90 days grain fed, 8 weeks aged. With the peppercorn dew.
What have we got here, Steve?
There's a little tower of onion rings for a bit of texture for crunch.
Fantastic.
Some wilted greens and an olive oil mashed potato. And you've got the very nice, rich, kind of roasty, toasty kind of pale ale to nail ale.
Yep.
That will match the kind of char brewing, I think.
Fantastic.
All right, so let's get stuck in there. So we've got a reasonable amount of flavour in here. Let's have a bit of a try of the sauce this time. Eh? Let's try something a little bit different.
The sauce and the beer should be absolutely spot on, I reckon.
Nice and peppery.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that the beer is going to kind of take away a bit of that peppery flavour
That's exactly
to it.
what it's done.
Yeah.
And that rich sort of sauce, you can feel the malt in
Yes.
the pale ale, and just that little bit of hop. It's just cut through all that, and it's just
Traditionally-
balanced it.
Well, traditionally, or should I say originally, when they started matching beer with food, they would come out with a peppery dish like that, and they would try and match it with a peppery
With
beer.
a peppery beer, yeah.
And it's not a good idea.
No.
All right, let's get stuck into it, mate. All right, so once again, we've got a few different aspects to the dish. We'll go for the basics to start with and just see how good this piece of meat is. Get a little bit of the sauce on there. Melting in the mouth. Beautiful.
That's good. Very
So
good.
the pepper side of it's pretty strong. Like in any restaurant, you can ask for it to be a little bit weaker, or even stronger again.
Yep. Depending
But
on
then
your
again,
tastes.
as you know, what we're here for is to try and work something out that's going to work better with the dish.
Yep.
We've talked about having different wines that you can have with a dish like this. A lot of times you would go for a red wine because of the red meat,
Exactly.
but I think that the problem here would be the peppery side of it, which is
Exactly,
going to cause
yep.
a new problem. So I think a nice crisp white could work well with this,
Wow.
or even a rosé.
I think the winner is the beer, and that takes the edge off the pepper, and the malt's balanced with that char grilled aspect of the steak.
Exactly. But the point I've been trying to make all along since I've been involved in this TV show is we can have the meat on its own, the meat with the sauce. We can have the meat with the potato. Then we can try it with the beer.
Yep.
Before, after. Ultimately, we can come up with 8 or 9 different flavours for this particular dish.
does.
And there's a good fruity flavour in that beer too,
That's the
which
extra.
adds an extra sweetness to the dish.
That's that addition of the hops. The pale ales do have that extra hop character that the pilsners don't have, and just that amber grain and
Sure.
the amber flavour of the ale that will certainly do that. Yeah, very nice. We've got some hungry camera crew here. I think they're on the rest of that ribeye.
I don't know about that. I think we should get out of here. What do you reckon?
Take that with us.
and look, the youngin definitely has that extra element again.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the best meal we've had so far in terms of flexibility. I'm probably even underestimating 8 different types of flavours or different ways that you can actually eat this.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of fun with this
Yep,
dish.
Absolutely. No, it's great. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, and a little bit lighter now. So the bloody camera crew's done it again, mate.
I have, mate.
What the hell?
Well, they're hungry.
My lips.
They're the
I'm
only ones.
licking my lips. I'm thinking to myself, there's more to come. I've still got a bit of beer left.
I'm
The camera crew have
I'm
just
out.
hammered it down.
Yep.
This is ridiculous.
Well,
Is this how it works, mate?
well, really, they're working. We're enjoying it.
Yeah, but we're not even finished.
We enjoyed
The segment's not
we-
even finished.
I know. We enjoyed
And,
the beer. We enjoyed the food.
We're closing everything off, and all people have got to look at's a freaking bone. I mean, what's the deal with that?
That's Luke there. Yeah, hungry Luke.
What do you think, mate? You enjoy it?
That was absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Char Char Bull, what a great place.
You know, the first thing that I always check when I come into a restaurant's the beer list.
Great.
You know, if
what I
you
like
want
to
to want to see what's on there. I always get a little bit frustrated when I don't see a craft beer there.
Yep.
Mind
do
you,
I.
though, I like to see some international beers too. I like to
Yeah.
see a bit of versatility.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, after all, there's a lot of brewers out there in WA. We've got to start supporting the locals.
That's right, guys. If you're not supporting the local craft beer industry, then it's going to fall away from us. That's the last thing that we want. We're doing so well with beer here in Western Australia. In fact, we're doing the best. So make sure you keep supporting craft beer. Drop into your local restaurant. Make sure that they're having their craft beers. And drink up.
So,
Cheers, mate.
cheers. Thanks, mate.